Thanks for doing this. I was looking forward to talking to you guys because I love these podcasts. So
you know what I love? I was telling Andrea the other day, whatever my day is at, when I hear hello and welcome to the DCL podcast, it just sets up my mood for the day.
Your podcast for helping you and your family cruise a little bit smarter.
Yes. If we talk a little bit lower and more gentle, it'll make your day even a little bit better.
Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, your podcast helping your family cruise a little smarter. And I'd like to welcome back to the show. She's all the way down in the valley, living her good life. How you doing today, Chris?
So good. It is bright and sunny in Los Angeles, California. I feel like I first always check in with the weather because I just know that everybody needs to understand how lucky we are here in California to have this beautiful weather year round.
Living your best life down there with the rest of us. It's like snowing in some parts of the country and it's raining nonstop.
Exactly. So yeah, everything's great here in LA. What about you up there? Is it snow? It's not snowing in Lake Oswego.
No, but it was hailing yesterday. Hey, did I ever tell you that, I went to high school in Nebraska, and when I was back in high school in Nebraska, one of the movies came out was, that great thespian Nicolas Cage, and it was his first showing in a movie, The Valley Girls, before he went on to, bigger and better things in National Treasure. And whenever I think of you down in the valley, I think of that movie because that was so much different than my life in Nebraska.
I literally thought you were setting up a dad joke, but if you are, I have no idea where it's going. You're basically reminiscing on Nicolas Cage's career, which is definitely a hard left turn that I wasn't expecting. But you know what? Nicolas Cage is making a weird comeback, so I'm here for it. Also, National Treasure is becoming a Disney Plus series. I'm also here for that.
Well, I got to keep you on your toes, every time we start something, because otherwise it just gets a little stale. But talking about stale, let's head across the country. Let's bring in two of our favorite guests. They live in a sleepy little suburb next to the beautiful town of Newark, New Jersey. How are you doing today, Andee and Joe? Welcome back.
Thanks for calling our New York sleepy. That's definitely us. It's totally describes New York.
Yeah, we go from the city of angels to the city that never sleeps, right, Joe?
Except for me, I always sleep.
Well, excited to have you guys back. We are going to turn our focus a little bit on the Disney Wish, as the Disney Wish is getting ready to set sail in January. And we thought we'd turn in and talk to you guys, because I know that you guys have a sailing coming up on the Wish sometime soon. And I really love your thoughts about the theater and some of the other things that we've talked about on our show. So I'm really excited to get your thoughts on the Wish. But before we do that, I think that you guys took a little adventure to Polynesia. Joe, where did you guys go?
We did. We took a trip to Hawaii. And we
stayed in
Aulani.
Hawaii is near and dear to Chris's heart. She and Seth were over there recently too. One of just a beautiful resort. What was your guys' thoughts about the resort?
I thought it was gorgeous. I mean, it's difficult. So here's the thing. We went from Kauai at the Grand Hyatt Kauai and then flew over to Aulani. I wouldn't recommend doing that, actually, because I do think that despite Aulani's cultural relevance, which was a lot more than the Grand Hyatt Kauai. The Grand Hyatt Kauai is just really, they even have the fancy Japanese toilets in there, and they treated us like we were, Disney has great service, but the Grand Hyatt Kauai was like, everybody knew us. We walked into the club room for breakfast and they were like, oh, Mr. Joe, and like had special food for him ready. It was crazy. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Like visit Grand Hyatt Kauai after you do Aulani, because it was a lot busier, but it's really beautiful. The lazy river was so fun, and water slides and the ocean and everything was so, take me back. When are we going back, Joe? When are we going back?
Absolutely. We need another ukulele class. We did not get that at the Grand Hyatt.
That's true. We didn't, but I did take a hula class at the Grand Hyatt.
Did you get to hula on the beach?
No, it was weird. I don't know why we weren't hulaing outside. We did it in like this. They have a huge lobby, so we did it in the lobby. It's also really hard.
Yeah. So it's more difficult than it looks, right?
Yes. And the hula instructor was like jacked. I mean, my thighs were burning like in 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, sweet Lord. And she was like all the way down to the ground. Couldn't believe it.
Did you guys have a chance to go to the luau, Joe?
We did. We absolutely did. We actually were seated in the VIP section. I think that's what it was called. And highly recommend that if you're going to, well, one, drink, because it was pretty much all the alcohol you could want. But we absolutely loved the luau from the start. You know, just the performances were amazing. The costumes were amazing. Just the Disney flair. But it also just felt relevant and cultural and related to exactly what we wanted on the island of Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they may have had some bidets at the Grand Hyatt, but they definitely did not have the Menehune Adventure Trail.
They didn't.
So it's really just a toss up there. One of those things is so much more adventurous.
That is true. I mean, yeah, I didn't. Well, we didn't do the Menehune Adventure Trail.
We didn't finish it. We tried. We were like, it was a little embarrassing because we were 3 adults. There were kids waiting in line behind us to make the little flames go off or like make the little whale blow a hole. And I'm like, okay, I think we need to stop because these children, it's the same way you feel on the dream or the fantasy when you're holding that little paper up in front of the like sensors for Midship Detective Agency, where there's kids waiting behind you to make the thing happen. And you're like, okay, I don't know. I'm actually I don't want to pivot too soon, Steve, but I'm very excited for the Midship Detective Agency replacement on the Wish, because I feel like there'll be less stock like piling up with people because it's all through the app. And I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah, well, we're going to touch on that a little bit once we get a little bit further into this show. But there is a shorter one where they go around the lobby. And I think maybe for adults, that one might be a little bit more relevant because it talks a little bit more about the art and the history of Aulani. The one on the outside has a couple of good gags as far as things that you can do where you can dump water on people unsuspectingly or shoot water at people into the lazy river.
That is why I wanted to do it. I mean, and that is why Chris is so right. It is embarrassing because I would have been like, yes, fire, and like doing it 100 times. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Also, a quick tip for people who are going to Aulani. Joe and I just assumed that you could just trot on up to the ukulele class. Incorrect. You have to sign up for all that stuff, and you better do it at the behind crack of dawn, because there are people who are intense about it. They are ready. You have to do your signups right away. We did manage to get in. We were like, oh, really? And they were like, oh, we'll see. And they found 2 more ukuleles for us. But yeah, they didn't have to do that because we were behind on all of that.
There honestly is so much to do. We just wanted to spend time sitting at the pool and doing the lazy river and hanging out by the ocean. But we also wanted to do ukulele and Menehune and all of that stuff. There's just so much to do. You really can find yourself missing out on certain things.
Any other final tips before we pivot and talk about the Wish, guys? For maybe somebody else is going for the first time to Aulani that took you by surprise, maybe you do a little bit better?
I would say, just to add on to what I was just saying about there's so much to do, we also did try to explore Oahu a bunch. So, 3-4 days may seem like a lot, but it's really not if you want to do things outside of Aulani on the island and get some time at Aulani. So really think about your time when you're there.
I think everybody was sort of like, oh, you can go off and get food other places, and everybody was talking about how expensive the food was at Aulani. But if you're from a major metropolitan area, it didn't feel overly expensive to me. And I thought it was really, really good. I thought the poke at the poke at the resort was really, really excellent. Everything was wonderful. Really, I don't think you can have a bad time. It was wonderful.
I'll have to put it in here, but I can't remember what episode number of years was, Chris, when you and Seth went to, it was in the last year or so.
Christy's the one who figures it out. I never understand how she knows. She's like, I just Googled it. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. But I too went to Aulani recently or last summer, which might have not been that long before your trip. In fact, we're like, maybe we'll see each other. And then we weren't close. But I agree. The food's really good at Aulani, at least better than probably the food is at Disney World resorts. So you're sort of like, wow, this is pretty nice. But some folks might be surprised that it's not Like Ko'olina is like this little place away from everything else on the island. So there isn't that much to do right around Aulani. But luckily everything to do at Aulani is top notch. And I'll plus one to, there's a ton to do on Oahu. And there's no way you could probably even do the top 5, tourist attractions with only 3 or 4 days. So you really do have to like pick and choose and maybe just avoid some of the big tourist traps. Like, I don't think the Dole Plantation is like next level or anything like that. And it's literally the same Dole Whip you can get in Florida or California. But I did want to ask you, because we were texting about it before you went, did you end up going to the Jurassic Valley and seeing any of the sites where they filmed Jurassic Park? Or was that over on Kauai where you did some other film site tours?
I was bullying Joe. I was like, I really want to do that. I want to see the Jurassic Park sites. And he was adamant that we were not going to do it. He was like, no, it is a tourist trap and we're not doing it. So I will say he did us one better. And when we were on Kauai, we did 2 tours that took us to 2 different sites. We did the Jurassic Park landing adventure in a helicopter. So, the waterfall in Jurassic Park, you bet we like helicoptered down to that. Oh man, I have an Insta reel that is just mind blowing. Like, you walk around, the score is playing and you walk around the corner and the waterfall appears and it's like, so good. It was like my best work ever. And then we took an ATV tour that took us through a valley, like some valley that also they filmed Jurassic Park at. So I was set for Jurassic Park, but I still really want to do it. So next time, probably.
All right. We'll just have to go together. I will say,
oh yeah, you didn't get to do it either, right?
I got to do it and I think it's worth it, but worth it enough that I do it again. But Kauai is where they filmed most of Jurassic Park. They only pivoted to Oahu because of the hurricane, which famously like destroyed all their sets, and they had to go to Oahu because there were more resources there. So Kauai is probably the island to go to if you're a Jurassic Park fan, and I've never been. So we'll have to do an episode about that one day because I'm very, very excited to see all the film sites for Jurassic Park.
Yeah, well, we're dying to go back to the Grand Hyatt Kauai. So anytime you want to go, we'll.
All right, we're going to have to do that the helicopter death drop again.
Oh no, you won't get me.
Not with Andrea.
You won't get me in that. I got really, really sick. I almost threw up. So you can helicopter. Yeah, it was really bad. I'm glad I did it.
Able to keep your eyes open. It was pretty much the most gorgeous thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of pivoting, I think I need like a bell for this episode. We're going ding, ding, ding. Okay, that round's over. Let's pivot. There is a little ship that is going to set sail this summer, and I think we're all kind of excited about it. The Disney Wish is going to do her inaugural sailing now, July 14th. She's got some sailings ahead of that for kind of some test cruises. If you've been listening to the show, Christy from our show will be on the one right before the inaugural. And I think, Chris, you're going to join her too, aren't you?
I am. Christy and I are going to be besties on a cruise ship, and we cannot wait to tell everybody about all the cool stuff. It's not the inaugural sailing, so we don't really know what it's going to be like, but that means that you'll hear it here first, and you should definitely check us out if you're okay with a couple of spoilers, because we're going to tell you everything we find on the Wish after we get off on July 13th.
I'm going to be laughing when they've got you hanging up shower curtains,
varnishing,
getting cleaned up for that inaugural sailing. We got people coming on here soon.
Oh, they have First Mate Mickey to do that stuff.
Yeah, First Mate Mickey. All right, we'll get into that a little bit later too. I know you guys were talking about possibly booking something later. Do you guys have a sailing book now that I said that?
For the Wish?
Yes.
We sure do.
Okay. Is it this summer too, or is it later on?
It's this summer. We're going at the end of August.
What are you excited about, Andee? We'll go to both of you guys. What have they announced that has got just one thing that has got you really excited about getting on board the Wish?
I'm excited to see the shows in the main dining rooms. Like I really want to do that Marvel show, like real bad.
Oh. And how about you, Joe?
I guess of everything, the new Senses Spa design and layout.
Have they shown they've had a lot of concept art about the spa at all yet? I haven't seen too much now that I'm thinking about it.
Not too much, but there is a couple that looks like there's these individual swings and little couch lounge type things outside.
So excited to see that and hear back from you after you get to experience that. Well, I thought we'd start kicking off some shows here. And I thought the two of you would be great to talk about the shows that they've announced that are going to be on board the ship because of you guys' experience in, going to Broadway shows and stuff, and having Chris here too to talk about that. And we'll get to that in a little bit. And Chris also wanted to touch on what maybe you're not excited about. So we'll, you want some negativity thrown in, some controversy into the podcast, maybe.
I want balance, Steve.
Balance. Okay.
I'm the Thanos of the podcast. We have everything in balance.
All right. Well, we're going to jump into a bunch of different topics. We'll start with the way we normally start, I guess, maybe in some ways. And one of the first topics we talk about is the staterooms. Have you guys had a chance to look at what some of the concept art or concept drawings of the staterooms? I'll start with you, Chris. What are your thoughts about the staterooms and what they've announced and shown so far?
Listen, I think the old staterooms are fine, but they're not like breathtaking, modern, stunning. In fact, I think Disney was getting away with the old stateroom design because it was classic, right? It evoked like traveling on an ocean liner, which is cute. But I want some modern luxury, decadence. I want something that feels a little fresher. And I feel like they're meeting me somewhere in the middle. It looks a lot like the old staterooms with a different color scheme and different maybe fabrics and things, which I'm like, that's cool. They're modern. As long as it has that extra comfy bed and that split bathroom, I'm still there. But I do say that so far, the Wishes room design is a plus to me.
So going away from the nautical theme on the other four ships, and they say that this is a castle at sea. It seemed like some touches that way. Joe, how about you? Any thoughts on the room so far?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely a step up. I love that there's that champagne-like color palette that's going on throughout. Also, since I'm typically the one that's sleeping in a bunk bed, the drop-down bunk with the light-up ceiling and the stars that we can see from there, I think is pretty cool and would be fun for the kids and the adults that sleep in the upper bunk.
We were just on the Wonder and I was looking at it. It's just basically like a mat that they put up there with the stars. So it's not like, something that lights up. So that is going to be kind of a magical little touch.
I think you all are crazy. I think these look exactly like the other rooms and there is literally no change. What did they do? They slapped some cream paint on things like
champagne.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I have never had any complaints about the staterooms on Disney. I think it's nice that there's an added mural. they look exactly the same.
Listen, I will give you that, but I get to at least be somewhat reasonable because I said they met me somewhere in the middle. They do have a very similar vibe, but I mean, you're right. All right. Andee has changed my mind. They're terrible.
Not terrible. I didn't say that. I like the Disney staterooms. I think they're very spacious. They're very nice.
But they're not different enough.
No, these are not different. Like
okay.
They're just the same. It's Disney doing Disney's thing. Split bathroom.
Well, I like that we all have an opinion here. So whether it's the right one or the wrong one. Well, let's move into something there's not going to be any controversy in this whatsoever. Let's move into dining. They've got 3 different restaurants, main dining restaurants that they've announced. And the first one is Arendelle, a frozen dining adventure where you are going to be able to meet Queen Anna and Kristoff celebrating their engagement. You're invited. It looks like it's going to be kind of a theater in the round. So I think they fixed that problem with Tiana's Place and
Rapunzel's
Royal Table, where you're going to be able to see it a little bit better. Joe, are you excited to go to dine with Anna and Kristoff?
Yes, but of the 3, this is probably my least favorite. Although I am excited about it. I think it's going to be very fun, but I just think it's going to be a little bit difficult to mix food and show in this type of setting. That's where I'm interested to see how they do that in the timeline that they have for the main seatings.
And Andee, are you excited about this restaurant? I know I'm going to get you on the next one, but how about dining with Anna and Kristoff, and maybe if Olaf shows up?
Yes, I am very excited about this. But if I will tell you this, and I'm not sure how they can do this because like food and Snope don't mix. But if it does not snow on me in this restaurant, I am going to rage. I will get up and walk out. No, I'm just kidding. But also I really will be very upset. So like, I want it. I want like someone screaming, let it go, full volume, preferably a really good singer and not like some kids next to me. But like, I want all the let it go and I want to be snowed on during my meal. Thank you.
Well, with the theater in the round, maybe they can contain it and be able to do something like that.
Okay, so Elsa, Steve, I got to throw it to you for correctly identifying that Anna is the queen now. I know you were just reading some Disney blurb, but that is correct. Anna is the queen and Elsa is no longer the queen. That would leave us to another highly themed restaurant on the Wish, which I know you're super excited about, Andee. So I'm going to throw it over to you to first tell us, what do you think of World of Marvels, which is a leap into your heroic role using an interactive Avengers mission? And Ant-Man and the Wasp are going to be there too.
I'm so excited. I want tiny food and huge food. I just want it all.
Wait, have you been to Pim's Test Kitchen?
No, and I want to so bad. I want that giant candy bar, like really badly.
Yeah, it's actually pretty tasty. Also, so is the giant chicken sandwich, my two recommendations. So you're very excited. You did hint at something that they have shown us in the concept, which is apparently you'll be able to push a button on your table and change the size of your food. I think those of us who understand the laws of physics are like a little confused how this is going to happen, but it seems fun. What are your thoughts over there?
I'm going to steal your word, Chris, confused. I just feel like I need more information. It just seems like a chaotic mess right now. But I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I should be really excited about this. I just need a little bit more structure. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, Joe, it's interesting because the concept art seems to show that the restaurant is thoroughly divided. Like there are walls everywhere. And I bet that means that there's going to be different show scenes happening around and they'll be able to sort of pace it out that way. But you're right. I have no idea. They actually tested something really interesting for Universal Studios when they were trying to make food appear for the restaurants, because in the Great Hall, food just appears in front of Harry Potter. And they were like, we can figure it out. We're going to do it. And it ended up failing miserably. Like they would like skyrocket food through the table and like try to do it with the lights turning off. And everyone would just be scared because the lights would be out. And then there'd be like some mechanical failure. So I think it stayed in whatever the Universal Studios equivalent of Imagineering is, because they were like, yeah, we don't know how to do this. So it's interesting for Disney to try to like make food change sizes in front of you, which you're right, confused. How are they going to be able to do it? But if they pull it off, amazing.
I think the difference is like with Harry Potter, that stuff like apparates, it just appears. Whereas in Marvel, there's a little more flexibility. Like they never just did it with like appearance. They always had something that did it for them. Like there was a van, there was and there's those boxes on the center of the table. And I'm sure that there can be something below the boxes where you could just swap. I am ruining the magic. I'm sorry. You could just swap something around, like to make it like, the box like spins around, the magic theater.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if I could, I apologize for slagging off the room. Sorry, guys, but the concierge rooms actually look drastically different. I will say that. So if you're saying concierge, I'm sure your experience will be completely different. For the rest of us, we will enjoy our cream-colored mural.
I love your opinions, Andee. So I love that you're standing by them. Okay, well, I'm gonna put some words maybe into Joe's mouth, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I'm guessing that maybe he's like me. He's excited about Marceline Market, or excuse me, he's excited about 1923. And I didn't realize this, but it takes guests on a journey through the evolution of animation featuring California food. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe there is kind of maybe a small type of show in this one, maybe not quite as big as Animator's Palette. But what about you, Joe? What do you think about 1923? Did I hit that right?
You hit it, Steve. This is definitely my number one restaurant that I'm looking forward to. I love animation. I love the Disney artwork that it looks like we're going to get to see. If they give us some kind of like transition from the original, the first movies and designs that they had to newer stuff that we get today, that'd be awesome. The food sounds like it's going to be more my style, that California type of food. And also, I think for these first few sailings, at least throughout this year, the ships are going to be full. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to get into the adult only dining rooms. So I think this is going to be a nice change from the Frozen, the Marvel. This is going to be a little bit more chill and classy.
I agree totally. How about you, Andee? You looking forward to 1923?
I think it'll be great. Honestly, I don't think you're going to be able to go wrong with this one.
So that leads us into the buffet Marceline Market. I think, well, Christy, do you have anything you want to say about 1923?
No, but I say no, and then I'm about to say something. So you made me realize something. It's California cuisine, but when I have thought of 1923, I always just in my head thought it was replacing whatever the like royal table, royal court, royal Tritons. Yeah. So I'm like, is Steve not going to get escargot anymore? Like, where are they going to put that? I guess they could put it in Arendelle and just pretend like it's Norwegian, but I'm like a little confused. Although on the 4-night sailing, they could do it, I guess, on the like welcome aboard show night or whatever. But anyway, that's interesting to me. Oh, and I guess it would be pirate night. Yeah. These 3 and 4-night sailings are hard too, because you really don't get to let the menus in the restaurants spread their wings fully, because it's all just, one experience per restaurant, basically. But I digress. I'm excited. Of course, I'm excited that it's going to be like Walt Disney's origin story and then animation. That's great.
Well, if there's no escargot, Andee and I'll be down in the hyperspace lounge, kind of drinking away our sorrows with the cream-colored room and my no escargot. So, well, that moves us into the Marceline Market. We won't touch on this too much. What does sound kind of interesting, instead of having that one giant cafeteria-style line that goes all the way around the back of the ship, they're going to have like the other cruise lines do, where they've got food stations to go up and get the different food that's available. Any thoughts on that, guys? I don't know if there's really much to touch on.
Well, I'm excited for it, except for one thing. I would just like everyone to imagine for a moment what it is like at Cabanas on embarkation day. And now I want you to imagine this, where food is not just laid out and for people to grab, but people have to order. And I wish may the odds be ever in your favor, because I'm sure it's going to be great. And God knows Disney has better plans for things than I do, but like, I cannot see how that's not going to be a red hot mess. So, I mean, it's God knows that's exactly what I'll be doing. I'll be like, let's check the mess and like run up and try to have food. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Cabanas is always so crazy on embarkation day. So now imagine people like walking around and looking at all the different food and then ordering the food. I have a headache already.
Good point there. I think we'll be at the sit down, whatever one is open down there.
Yeah.
Hopefully 1923, kind of taking in that atmosphere as you get on. Okay, well, let's turn to the adult themed restaurants. They're all themed to Beauty and the Beast. The one thing I do like about the Fantasy and the Dream is the Meridian Bar, which is in between Palo and Remy, and they keep that as well. I mean, they've got a bar on the Wonder and the Magic, which you can go up there, but I always feel weird. Like, you never ever see anybody going up there and sitting in the bar in Palo itself. So they've got the Rose, which is going to be at the entrance there, which I think is kind of cool that they keep that kind of a classy place. And then we move into Palo Steakhouse, which is inspired by Cogsworth, and Enchanté, inspired by Lumiere. What do you think, guys? Are you excited about these 2 changes and 2 new restaurants coming?
I guess I'm most excited about the Rose Bar because, like you, I just like to have that, a place that you can go to without a reservation, which is great. Palo's always a hit. I don't know if they necessarily needed a change in design, but why not make them all related? The fact that the Rose Bar and Palo and Enchanté can now all be in a similar theme, I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to miss Remy's. Definitely, because that was a favorite. But if they could sell me with some pretty awesome food and 10 courses and a 3-hour meal at Enchanté, I'll be okay.
How about you, Andee?
Steve, that's where you're going to be able to get your escargot.
That's right. And it's going to be an add-on.
Yes, that's exactly. They knew it. They were like, Steve Creasy loves this, so extra dollars. No more inclusion. I think this is going to be good. I think it's weird to call Palo a steakhouse. Like, why bother calling it Palo at all? Just call it something else. Also, I'm understand. Does anyone else was like, which one is themed to Cogsworth? Was it the steakhouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was like, because it doesn't work the other way around.
I mean, it might not work at all.
Yeah, it might not.
Like, it's an interesting choice, but I guess
Yeah.
they're doing like a cross restaurant theme with, because before Paolo and Remy were very different, like theming wise. One was Disney, one was distinctly the cruise line, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting because they're bringing it all together. Also, Steve, you love the Meridian Bar, right? On the Dream and the Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for folks who have trouble getting a reservation at Enchanté or Palo, I bet you the Rose Bar will, whatever it's called, will be accessible by anybody. So at least you could check out the restaurants, even if, it's just by peeking in, because that Rose Bar sits right between the two of them.
Well, let's move on to the lounges. Chris, I'll let you start off with the first one because I think you are one of our resident Star Wars fans. Take us into that.
Yeah, so they're building the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, and it's located right off of the main lobby. So that would make you think, oh, wait, why are they building a bar off the main lobby? Those spaces are usually reserved for families with kids. But they have already stated that the Hyperspace Lounge will be accessible by families with kids during the day. So it is not like an Oga's Cantina, or it is like an Oga's Cantina, rather, at Hollywood Studios or Disneyland, where, yes, there are adult beverages, but there are also fun and fruity Star Wars themed beverages for the kiddos. So it should be fun. What are you thinking about it, Joe? Are you a Star Wars fan?
Nope.
But Andee is, right?
Yes. Shut up, Joe. Yes, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I am curious to see whether this will have the canned cocktails, like the pre-made cocktails like Oga's, or if there will be some mixology happening by some really skilled bartenders. I'm hoping for the latter. I am bracing myself for the former. In any case, I will be there spending a lot of time drinking in the Star Wars bar.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to see all the different scenes pass by the windows. It's
exactly right.
It's customary for all Star Wars fans to spend the entire length of their cruise in that bar.
Just as long as we're not on Canto Bight for a long time.
Yeah, we don't want to spend too much time there. I do feel like the drinks at Oga's Cantina annoyed me when it first opened, because here you are like on another planet or whatever, and it's like a spicy cocktail with Blue Mountain Powerade, and you're like, what? Blue Mountain Powerade? That is the least exciting cocktail ingredient I have ever read. What are you doing? So yeah. I hope that they do something a little more fun and less Coca-Cola branded for the ocean.
There's also a beverage we got at Oga's, the one that has the rosemary in it. It's green. Uh-huh. I forget what it's called. It is vile. Do not get it. And there was like people standing next to us and they were like, oh, maybe we should get this. And I was like, don't do it. It's gross. And they still got it. And I was like, that's on you.
You chose this for yourself.
Yeah, basically. It was not good. And I like the drinks at Oga's. Like, give me a fuzzy tauntaun any day.
I will say I know which bar that Steve is probably most excited for, because he's always talking about the equivalent of this bar on any of the other ships. So, Steve, tell us more about what is the equivalent of the pub on this ship.
So we're going to go into the Keg and Compass. I'm excited actually about the theming of it, but I feel like the ship is just themed all over the place. You're like, you move from one room to the next. You're like, you're in Beauty and the Beast, and the next thing you know, you're in an 1800s Norwegian sailor's map room with rich folklore of Norse seafaring. So there's nothing better to sip on some mead while floating in the Caribbean as the Vikings did, right? Because they were never down there. But I digress. Maybe we can get rid of Pirate Night and we can make it Viking Night or something like that. But here's the one thing. I don't want to get too deep into this one unless you guys have thoughts. But the one thing I noticed between this is the other two bars that they have is Nightingales, which is going to be a piano bar. And then they've got the Bayou, which is going to be Princess and Frog theme, where they're going to have live entertainment. That sounds kind of like I'm totally drawing a blank, but like the Tube in the district, kind of that adult space where they can have the adult things. But all of these are kind of right around the lobby. So instead of having a separate adult district like they do on the other ships, most of these are around that main lobby. So it's almost like what Norwegian and Royal does, where they kind of keep things together in a district. What do you guys think about that as far as not spreading the adults out to separate areas?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it's a great idea, but I'll have to see once we're on the ship. I do love the adult districts in all the previous ships. That being said, not to jump, but the pool area seems a lot more segregated than the other ships. Whereas the other ships, they say it's for adults only, but kids are always walking through there. So I don't know. I don't love the idea that it's right off the lobby. That's a negative for me.
Well, it is kind of interesting because we'll touch on it here in a little bit, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the lobby itself with the stage. So there's going to be opportunities to have different shows and stuff like that. So it is going to be kind of it's going to be kind of a busy area. So it'll be interesting to see how things just kind of flow with it.
I mean, they were also really pushing like weddings in that main lobby. And I was like, could you imagine like people raising up a ruckus in a Star Wars bar while your wedding is happening? Like, I don't know. God knows I'll be there screaming about a lightsaber at some point.
Maybe they'll have some doors or something like that where they can close it off when the weddings are happening.
Shut that redhead up. She's too much. She's ruining the wedding.
She's on her third fuzzy tauntaun.
Oh no, not the fuzzy tauntaun.
Anyways, any thoughts about those other two bars, guys, or anything like that? Because I know that what we really want to talk about is the shows, but any thoughts on the bars at all? Or the lounges? No. Okay. Well, let's move into the shows. Chris, take us away with the new theater and how it's going to be themed.
I recently listened to an episode that Steve did with Chris from Florida, where they spent what felt like hours discussing sports. And all I could think is, I'm going to get my revenge on Steve when I get to sit with Andee and Joe and talk about Broadway. So let's talk about it. I feel like one thing that I think Broadway aficionados or lovers sort of like eye roll at is when they say Broadway caliber shows at sea, because you're like, not exactly Broadway caliber, but I will say better than any show I've ever seen on any other ships. And they are doing some cool things with the shows on this ship. So I want to talk about it. First, let's hit on the actual theater itself. They say that the theater is designed to look like a magical forest straight out of a storybook fairy tale. From what I can tell, that means that it has green wallpaper. What do y'all think about the new theater?
I see the green wallpaper and I raise you some gold leaves around the proscenium.
The enchanted forest of gold leaves. That's
and
right.
I up you with some twinkling lights on the ceiling that maybe peek through the leaves at night.
Yes. Okay. So there's some enchanted-ish forest vibes, but it's light. It's light theming that we are seeing. Recently, Disney touted that there was like 1 million miles of fiber optic lights in the Wish. So my hunch is that we're going to see pixie dust lighting everywhere. And Andee, to your point about the fake snow, I'm guessing that they can't let that get on people's food. And I bet you anything, Elsa's ice magic is just going to be those lights in the walls.
Yeah,
but
fiber optic lights.
We'll see. Okay, well, they've announced the shows, which of course is what everybody goes to the theater. We're not there to see the green wallpaper. We're there to see the shows. The first awesome show they've announced is The Little Mermaid, which they describe as specially created show for the Wish, featuring innovative theatrical design, dazzling special effects, artistic choreography, and a reimagined script and score.
Are the dazzling special effects bubbles?
Yes, and I'm sure there are bubbles.
Well, as much as I love Snope, I also too love bubbles. So I will be ready for that. I can't wait. I am not sure I am into a new score for what is quite possibly the most perfect and exquisite Howard Ashman, Alan Menken score of all time. Please do not ruin it, dear Disney. Some things don't need improvement. And, I am excited for the new live action film. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that Ariel looks fabulous. Like, I'm very excited for that movie. But Little Mermaid like brought about the renaissance of Disney and literally rebirthed it, saved the whole company. And
Literally.
Yeah. And Howard Ashman and Alan Menken's work on that was stunning. I don't want extra music. I don't even want it rearranged, to be perfectly honest. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure I'll like it.
Yeah, I'm going to jump to the design because I do think that the Nemo show in Animal Kingdom is one of the best theater shows in the parks that Disney has ever done. So the fact that they were able to do what they did with their puppetry in that show tells me that they're going to do something special here in that same vein. And also, in addition to what they did with the latest Beauty and the Beast on the Dream. The Dream. Thank you. They did some pretty amazing things technically with that show. So I think design-wise, I'm really looking forward to see what they're going to do with The Little Mermaid, at least in that respect.
Agree to both of you. I do think that an interesting component of this show is that they know that they're not going to be able to cram the 90-minute, movie into an hour-long show. So instead, they have some like quaint story about a treasure chest and, things pop out of the treasure chest and give us sort of a best of. So, Andee, I don't know if it's going to be like so different, but I do know that they hired Lin-Manuel Miranda to work with Alan Menken on the movie, the live action movie. So I don't know that they would premiere any of that music here, because it's way before that movie's coming out. But it'll be interesting because they did add the new song from Aladdin to the ships, the live action Aladdin. So I think we can see that the live action movies are impacting the stage shows in different ways.
Yeah. I mean, the sneak peek from the Disney Parks blog, like the designs and things like that, they look exquisite. So I'm interested in that. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what a more soulful take on Poor Unfortunate Souls is. Pat Carroll was an absolute queen, and we'll see how this goes. Should be good.
Yep. Not worth mentioning, they're bringing Aladdin back. I don't think we need to say anything about that.
Nope.
And then worth mentioning is a new show called Disney Seas the Adventures, spelled S-E-A-S, like the seas. And you follow Goofy as he discovers his own inner captain with the help of Captain Minnie and an all-star cast of Pixar characters. While Captain Minnie glams it up, Captain Mickey steers the ship and does an excellent job performing his captain's duties, as he has done since 1998. That's something that Steve made me say because I am contractually obligated to stop referring to Mickey as the first mate. Even though Captain Minnie is obviously driving the ship at all times.
I do have pained you to say that, Chris, but thank you.
As I was reading it, I was like, what is this? Okay, so let's talk about this show. It fixes the worst problem with these review shows, which is having a 30-year-old who is 5'1" playing a 12-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid who's having a nightmare. Like, it just does away with that construct. And now we have Goofy, who's just like doesn't know the world and needs Minnie to help him. I get that. That's delightful. I'm here for it. I'm curious what you two think about this show, given I think we did talk about adults playing kids before. So I'll start with you, Joe.
Okay, a quick question. Notably, the Pixar films aren't musicals. There's usually like a song, a best song, that's related to the movie. And a couple of them have those. But I'm just interested to see like where the Disney songbook comes into this, because usually it's just like hit after hit after hit. And if we're focusing on the Pixar characters, I'm a little confused on that, how that comes into play.
That's confusing. You're right? Because besides Brave, none of them are musicals. And then what? You've Got a Friend in Me. That's a famous Pixar song, but there's not that many famous Pixar songs.
I do know that the one concept art, one of the pieces of concept art shows Tiana's palace. So it's like Tiana all decked. But I was just on the Dream, And Almost There is already in that show. So I'm not sure. I love these review type shows. Like I know it's cheesy, but like usually like people get to like wail and like literally live their best self. They always pick like these stellar numbers for these people and like they deliver them so well. So I actually really like I would be much more inclined, and I'm much more excited about this than like to see Aladdin again. I probably won't even go see Aladdin. So this I think will be good. Goofy can yuck it up in all of these film scenes, and I will be excited. I'm hoping they get stuff from Moana in there. Disney has sort of been a little slow about putting, their latest and greatest in there. I think if they didn't have anything from Encanto, it would be super disappointing, but I'm not holding my breath because again, this show's probably been in development for like over a year. And now they're like, oops, I didn't know Bruno would be a hit,
Literally. That's absolutely true. They like shoehorned Encanto into the new float for the Main Street Electrical Parade's 50th anniversary. And you can tell that they shoehorned it in because it's not on any of the merchandise. So they were like, we're going to add these Encanto characters because they're wildly popular, but they were not planned to be there. So interesting. You're absolutely right. I'm super curious to see what that will be like. But we can all agree that these shows do give you the feels. They usually hit the emotional high points of the Disney music canon, and it allows their cast to really show off. And if you're sailing in the inaugural season on the Wish, you better believe that that's going to be their A cast. They are going to have the best of the best Disney singers on this ship, because they want it to sparkle for its first season. So yeah. I'm excited to hear all of these songs get sung by really, really talented actors.
Absolutely.
So, Steve, are you still there? You with us?
I'm preparing for our next little talk where we talk about the app-based adventure, which is going to take over from the Midship Detective Agency. So if you guys are done talking about, what is it, the theater that goes on these ships?
I think it's called Theatre.
Well, I think this is kind of neat. So Disney's introducing an app-based adventure. So we don't spend enough time on our phone. We can spend even more time on the ship as we wander around it. But I digress a little bit, and I'm being a little sarcastic as I normally am. I think it's sort of cool because like the Galactic Star Cruiser, where people are going on that, the story starts before they get there, where they start getting information. And it sounds like the same thing is going to happen with this adventure as well. Whereas before you actually get on the ship, you're going to be able to start this adventure that if you want to play along with and take part in, where they're going to get you're going to get some help from Captain Minnie and Mickey. You will transform your mobile device into an enchanted spyglass, a tool that allows you to magically set sail for the worlds of Moana. So there's your Moana, Andee, I guess. Tiana, Peter Pan, Nemo, and more. The spyglass will be their key to unlocking adventures, solving puzzles, conquering quests, and ultimately saving the day. So I think it's kind of cool that it can start ahead of time. They said it's a way to, get kids excited about going on the cruise. I think it features a call possibly between Captain Minnie and Captain Mickey to invite the kids on board. But I think it's kind of cool that it starts ahead of time. We were talking about the Midship Detective Agency before. Who wants to talk about this one?
You're right, Steve. We discussed it early on in the show, and I think we should chat about it more now, because the Midship Detective Agency, while it's a cool thing, holding up a little piece of paper in front of a camera sensor is only going to get so much mileage in 2022. And so, here they are introducing an app-based thing. It makes your phone more required in cruising, but it sounds like they're like doubling down on augmented reality, which I think is kind of fun. What do you all think, Andee?
Well, I think, AR, it's the wave of the future. It's a way to let people play without Disney investing any money in that, like there's no consumables. They don't have to print cards like Midship Detective Agency. Like those must get eaten and thrown and like lost. And, they constantly have to keep replenishing them. Whereas like, this is free for Disney, you bring your own. I think it would be weird because you're not just going to be like, I saw 7 and 8 year olds like running around doing the Midship Detective Agency themselves this time, I don't know whose 7-year-old has a phone. Anyone? Steve, did you give your 7-year-old a phone?
No, not a 7. Some people do, but not most.
Not
But that is, most they're probably going to have to borrow their parents.
Yeah. Yeah, or go with them. Oh man, forced family time.
I bet Disney will have like whatever iPhone SEs or some sort of phone that they can rent out.
That would be nice.
Because it's what they do on Star Wars, the Star Cruiser is if you don't want to bring your own device, they'll give you a like a launch pad or whatever. So I bet it'll be that, because you're right. They can't expect 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds even to always have their own phone. And honestly, they can't expect adults. I'm the one who's always harping like, we got to get with the phones, people. It's great. But you cannot force someone to bring this thing as the only way to experience something. So you have to give them that thing if you're not going to, if they don't have it themselves.
Yeah. It also makes people tired to be the keeper of the technology and like have all the answers. I've been that person many a time on my cruise in February on the Dream. That's what I was. I was like the person with all the answers and the keeper of the technology, because I was with, my mom and my godmother, and they're in their 70s. Like they, bless them, know how to use their phones and they're very savvy. But like, do you know how difficult it was to hook this phone up to the ship technology? I'm sure the Wish hopefully will be easier because it's newer and things like that. I'm really looking forward to hopefully straightening out some of those issues. But yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky for people who are the one who's responsible for being the techie of your family.
Joe, are you excited did you ever do Midship Detective Agency? Are you excited about doing something like this as a adult?
Yeah, I mean, as an adult, sure, if I get time. There's so many other things I think I would choose first, but I did the cruise with my niece and nephews, and they enjoyed doing the Midship Detective Agency, and I think this will be great for the families. I think bottom line, they'll be into it. The kids all, whether they have their own device or not, they use technology. They use phones when they grab their parents anyway right now. So for them to get excited about something like this and get to experience many different characters throughout the ship and different places throughout the ship, I think it's going to be great.
If it was like the Minahune Adventure Trail, and like I wanted to like make things happen in the ship. I wanted to like make things twinkle and sparkle and spin. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be fun.
Shoot water at people, right?
Yes, shoot water at everyone.
Well, there's a couple
in the restaurant while there's snow happening.
I love it. They get the little fountain over there, and all of a sudden it's just shooting water at that table
water.
3. Yeah.
Oh, best day of my life.
Yeah. Okay. 2 other places just to touch on really quick. They're going to have 2 movie theaters instead of 1. One's going to be themed to Peter Pan. The other one's to Alice in Wonderland. They also have Luna, which is going to be a large 2-story space, kind of like for the D Lounge. I think this is going to take over the D Lounge for family entertainment and game shows, probably bingo as well. But Chris, I tried to find this information. Do you remember they've got a lobby show, I believe, when you first get on the ship? And I know that you're excited about a wand, but I know that they also have kind of a spectacular at the end. Do you remember much about those?
Yeah. So the Captain Mini stage show is also the finale show. And they describe it as the first of its kind, which honestly, all this stuff is the first of its kind. It's great marketing speak. But essentially, the characters are going to run out of the theater and expect the audience to follow them to the lobby. And then there will be like a finale in the lobby with the audience from the theater. That's how it's described. They have talked about like a special kiss goodnight later in the evening on the final night as well. But I actually don't know if those 2 things are different or the same. I guess we'll find out. But I don't see how they could do one kiss goodnight for the whole ship. So I imagine that this is the kiss goodnight, is like you saw the show, wasn't it great? Now go to the lobby and say goodbye. And that's sort of the vibe that they're setting. But I could be wrong. And maybe they're going to do a whole other kiss goodnight show at 10 p.m. or whatever. But it just seems hard to cram everybody in there,
Yeah.
But cool, we get to leave the theater and chase after Goofy or whatever. That'll be fun. It'll be a little stressful. I feel like that's a stampede waiting to happen, but like, cool.
Well, let's get back up to the pool deck. Those are just some of the shows, I guess. You guys did an awesome job talking about The Little Mermaid. I'm excited about seeing something different for sure. Let's get up to the pool deck, Joe. Are you guys Aqua Duck or Aqua Dunk riders? Are you excited about the Aqua Mouse?
So happy.
Yes to your first question, but here's my answer to Chris's, what are you not excited about? I just think we're making a big, huge deal about the Aqua Mouse. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the same old water slide with some TV screens in it.
Joe.
I want to be wrong. I want to be blown away. However, I think it's going to be the same old water slide with some TV screens in it. And now we call it an attraction at sea.
You know,
Hot take.
that is a hot take. Frequent listeners will remember back to when I requested that they build a dark ride on the ship. And I suggested that they do it in the style of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, because you can change the scenes as much as you want. In fact, they do change the scenes. There are times in that ride when you're in the same room twice, but it just looks completely different, right?
Wait, really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Stop it. My mind is exploding right now. I had no idea.
It is true. It happens. It happens right after you go on your little raft excursion in the water. So anyway, I thought that's what they were going to do. To your point, there does seem to be some fancily accoutrement televisions inside of a tube, but they are putting like brand new animation and story to it. So I hope you're wrong too, because I hope that it's more fun and more immersive. If we're talking about the Aqua Duck, that thing is not immersive. That is just a water slide, right? Like there is very loose story there. Like, I don't know, the Grumpy Duck's nephews are being a little mean to him. Like that's just like a little too light for me. But I like that they've animated 2 brand new stories. This, I'm 50-50 on this one. What about you, Andee?
I'm excited for this. I love water slides. I mean, and also I'm going to call Joe out because Joe doesn't like water slides. Joe, you don't like water slides. You don't swim.
I like a water slide in a raft. So this is my kind of water slide.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think to me, like every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, well, just look for the places where you can't see the tube. But I mean, he is right. It's just one big circle. So, but I'm excited. I'm going to love this. I know it. I love the aqueduct, even though it just, doesn't do much, but it's fun. So I'm excited for this one.
Well, the good thing is if you're on the Wish with Joe and Andee, it's a 2-seater raft. So you guys have to do it together. So just wait at the end and see what the final verdict is, because I'm sure it's going to be animated. No pun intended.
Yuck.
I need a new J job, I guess. Okay. All right. Let's finish up our last space that we'll talk about, which is the Oasis at Sea. This is very similar to, I've been on the Norwegian Getaway. And in all honesty, it's the Wish is made by Meyer Werft, which has made all of the getaway or breakaway class ships for Norwegian. This ship is very similar in just the overall body style. And they're doing the exact same thing with the adult area on this, where they're putting it in the back of the ship. I do wonder how big it's going to be. To your point, Joe, I think you said it, Joe, where kids tend to be coming in and out of the adult spaces. This is going to be a little bit more segregated. Are you guys excited about having a space like this where there aren't my kids running around trying to find me to?
Yeah, I think the segregation is the best part about this, but you started to say it, Steve. I don't know how big it's going to be. It looks not as large as, the Fantasy and the Dream. We don't have that second floor. Oh, the falls.
Yeah, Satellite Falls. Yeah, Satellite Falls is huge. That's a huge area, right? And this is not going to be as big as that. So to your point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes me nervous. Like, it really needs a few more adults only spaces.
I hadn't even thought about lounge space. I was just sitting there being like, y'all remember how tiny the adult area is, but I wasn't thinking about pool stuff, or I wasn't thinking about like rooftop loungers. You're right. Satellite Falls is really big. The actual like pool seems like an upgrade. I think we can all agree that an infinity pool off the back of a ship, very nice. Can't wait. But the space, a little limited. Steve, you mentioned though, one thing about the current adult only spaces is there are always kids walking through that space because it's just like in the middle of the ship, or it's aft, I guess, or whatever, but it's not very like there are people getting through it to get to their rooms. And so it's not like this total adult oasis that I think it can be if you really say, no, there's only one way in and out of this, and that's straight to the back of the ship. So maybe it'll be better in that regard.
We'll find out, I guess. Andee, will you be back there?
I will be back there because we are not sailing in concierge. So I will not be allowed on that private deck. which is where I would have been if we were sailing concierge.
I'm looking at it right now too. I guess that's the other adult space, right? If you really want a bigger adult space it's a little bit more quiet and it's got a little bit more room, maybe book concierge. So
well, it's really funny because if you look at the deck plan and you click up to deck 14, there is a little thing on deck 14 that shows like literally like 4 loungers on either side. And I'm like, who would want to sit up there? But I guess we'll find out.
Well, this has been a lot of fun talking about different things. So let's get into, I think I know, well, let's just see what else you guys have. After talking about all this, we'll go around the room here. Maybe one thing you're excited about, one thing that maybe we've talked about that you're not as excited about. I think, Andee, you're not excited about those cream colored rooms and that castle mural, which is going to be behind your behind your bed there and everything like that. Who wants to go first?
Chris, go ahead.
Okay. What am I excited about? The thing I'm most excited about is the thing that I'm also least excited about. So this is a twofer. I am most excited about the unique, fun, cool experiences like the wishing star and the wand and the slide down into the kids club and the sort of like whimsical only Disney things. What I'm least excited about is that all of that whimsy is labeled for children and like offered only to kids, which I've said this before and I'll say it again. Yes, a lot of people who use Disney Cruise Line are families, but there are a lot of adult friend groups who sail and it's like, wait, do they not get to do the cool, weird, whimsical things? So I'm like super excited about all the cool innovation, but like, am I really not going to get a wand to wave at that little magic star thing in the lobby? Like, is that just happening? And then also, what do I need to do to go down that slide? I'm obviously going to need to figure that out because that seems like a joy and an amazement. So those are my things.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to post a guard on that slide like 24/7 because I mean, I don't know when that Star Wars bar closes, but somebody might be closing it out. And somebody at 2:00 in the morning, when they've had quite a few fuzzy tauntauns, might want to test it out.
Yeah,
and he's going to go down that slide.
Yeah.
We didn't even get into the kids club. They have the Marvel Academy. They have the Imagineer Lab. Those things are awesome too. So yeah, we didn't get into that.
I think that this ship, to your point, Chris, is that like the Wish is really going to be geared towards family. I'm not sure how a Disney adult friend group. I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of Disney adult you are. God knows I've proven myself to be a large child. So, you know, this definitely does seem like the adult stuff has been kind of trimmed a bit. But I'm sure they have the statistics on who is taking these cruises and how many adults are sailing on the Dreams current 3 and 4 night without kids. And if they found it's not so many that it's like going to impact their bottom line on the Wish, you know.
And I'll be honest, before we did Disney cruising as an adult group, we didn't know how great it was going to be for adults. We knew about the family stuff. We knew about the kids stuff. We just loved Disney. So we said, we'll try it. And then we said, oh, this is awesome for adults. So they might not just be, you know, marketing everything that is going to be great for adults as well.
What I'm really excited about, because I'm going to go back, I'm going to steal Joe's. I did look at the deck plans and the census spot takes up like half of deck 5. It's going to be huge. And that is going to be, I will buy me a rainforest room pass, length of cruise, and just sleep on a heated lounger on the sun deck.
That's an adult space, right? The rainforest area, they don't allow kids in. So they're and now it's an outdoor area. So
but you have to pay to get into it. That's
you got to pay to play these adult. Yeah, no, I hear you. But that'll be a nice oasis-y type place. Seth and I booked on our cruise this like float on air experience, which I don't know what that means, but it's like it comes with 2 massages. So we were doing the math and we were like, wait a minute, 2 massages for adults, and you get access to this special couple suite that has a private hot tub, these floaty air chairs. I was like, We're going to book that. So we
That's
booked
on
it.
That's on the Wish?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Joe,
Andrea, we're coupling it.
thank you.
Yes, I'll tell you how it is because I don't know what the floating on air part is. Like, that's the least interesting part to me. It's like, you'll get access to exclusive float on air chairs. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fun, but I want my massage and my whirlpool and all of that. But you're right, the spa looks clutch. I'm excited. What about a not so excited?
I don't know.
The decor.
The decor. No, it's because the lobby looks so good. It looks so good. The lobby looks beautiful and like everything that I want it to be. So, I think maybe the fact that they're reusing Aladdin again.
That's a real valid thing to be disappointed in. Good, you found one.
I did find one. Yeah, I don't want to see it. So it'll be good drinky times. I'll be able to enjoy the lounges and the bars on that night. Hopefully there'll be a nice, fun comedian somewhere.
Okay, Joe, we're on to you. Most looking forward to, actually start with least so that we don't have a most or a least to end it.
Okay. I think it's going to be the Aquamouse.
Okay.
I'm going with the Aquamouse. That's my least.
And most looking forward to?
Well, you said the spa, so that's definitely my top, but I'll give you one more. I think talking to y'all tonight, I wasn't as excited for the other shows besides Aladdin, but now I am looking forward to Little Mermaid and Disney's Sea's Adventure.
Seize your life or something. Seize your adventure.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah, it's a selling point that these casts are probably going to be on their A game. So I'm excited just to see the amazing talent they bring on.
I have never, in all the shows that we've seen, never not seen a top-notch cast singing any of that. So even if the show has been like, oh, this is cheesy, the cast is always crushing it. So I appreciate that.
Truth.
Yeah, they know how to get the talent. They certainly do get a lot. I mean, let's not forget that Jennifer Hudson got her start on the Disney Wonder, was it? Doing one of these like review style shows, singing The Lion King and Circle of Life. Like, that's iconic. And she's one of the biggest singers in the whole world. So that's amazing. Steve, I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to end on Joe because I absolutely need to hear what you're most and least looking forward to. You don't get out of it.
Well, I'm gonna step on some people's toes. I'm excited about seeing what type of adult entertainment they add to some of the spaces, maybe mixing it up a little bit. I think there was a show, I can't even remember. Well, they have a snippet show that they started, which I thought was a lot of fun. So they've added some new things besides just Match Your Mate. So I'm hoping that they're going to come up with maybe Star Wars type themed, maybe some Princess and the Frog type themed or something for that space where they can, do some plays off that to have a little bit of fun for adults in the evenings. And here's where I'm going to step on people's toes. I am not excited about going to Arendelle. I really am not.
Okay. Yeah. I see. You just don't really like really powerful women characters just sort of ruling the world.
It has. You know what? I hope it's a fun show, and I hope it's short. And so then we can talk and enjoy the time when we're cruising together with the friends that we get to cruise with or with your family. So, but I'll probably step on some toes with that one. Hopefully
you're bringing up something valid because think about it. You do want to go and hang out with people. And if they just make every dinner experience an elaborate show, it does take away from your ability to enjoy dinner with company.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Well, Joe, Andee, thank you so much for helping us. I know that regardless of what we like or dislike or what we're excited about or not excited about, I think we're all excited to be able to get on, to be on vacation and to get on a Disney ship this summer, especially something new and experience all that. But before we get out here, I want to get your thoughts on just one thing each. I'll put you on the spot since you guys live in that sleepy little town across from Newark, New Jersey. I know the Broadway shows are back. Give us one show each that if we were coming to New York, we should go and see. And not Hamilton.
No, it's too expensive. Get out of here. I would never say.
Do you guys have one each?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. You go first.
Oh gosh. You know what? I was thinking ahead into the fall. Can I give you you're going to, a hot take on something that's coming into Broadway?
Yeah, that's fine too.
I'm going to go that route because this has a little Disney connection and it is Once Upon a One More Time. Yes. if you're now singing the Britney Spears song, you are correct. This is a musical called Once Upon a One More Time with the Britney Spears songbook. And the plot is fairy tale princesses. So you've got Snow White, you've got Ariel, you've got Rapunzel, you've got Cinderella, and they all start to take over their own storyline. And the Blue Fairy comes and drops them a version of the feminine mystique. And, you know, all your classic fairy tales get blown up, all with the Britney Spears songbook. So here we go. Once Upon a One More Time. I'm telling you now, next year on Broadway, you come to New York, you hop on a Disney cruise, you check this out beforehand.
I have not heard of this. And also, I'm desperately trying to think of what Britney Spears song is going to be the Act One closer.
Good stuff. Good stuff. They did some out of town tryouts and it's got some mixed stuff. They're still working on it, but it's coming in, no doubt.
Okay, Andee.
If we're going upcoming, I am going to say The Devil Wears Prada is on its way in. I'm excited about that because the person playing Miranda Priestley, Beth Level, big Broadway star, I like her very much. And I'm waiting for her to end up voicing a Disney character. I would love to see her. As for what's on Broadway right now, Strange Loop is going to win Best Musical. You've heard it here first. Joe did not like it. He's putting a thumbs down right now. I haven't seen it, but you know, I'm planning on seeing it. So we'll see. We'll see. That's what I predict is going to win Best Musical. I've heard it's good. It's up against like MJ. That's not going to win, even though I do want to see that too. So, you know, it's a weird time for Broadway right now. A lot of shows that are like, that could have some interesting hot takes, like could be cool. They didn't come in. Like there's a lot of delays, things announcing and then kind of going, whoops, just kidding. Like, you know, COVID's still crazy. People are not coming to see shows. So, but go see a Broadway show. It doesn't matter what it is. You will enjoy it. Even the old tried and true, you know, go on BroadwayBox.com, get yourself a discount code, go see a show. It's great. And, you know, things of Broadway's back, baby. You got to go support.
And support touring casts because there's a lot of Broadway shows touring to a city near you. Last week, Seth and I went back to the theater for the first time since the pandemic and saw Hadestown, which is on a national tour right now. And it's fabulous. It's wonderful. I saw it on Broadway and the changes they made for the road are not altering the beauty and the power of the show. So I recommend Hadestown if you want to go to see a show near you.
All good ideas. We're hoping to make it out there in the fall sometime. So with Wake and I, if we can actually get that together, I'll send you guys an email and get your suggestions and maybe.
Well, we'll come see it with you, Steve.
Yeah, hook up for the show or at least a drink or something afterwards or before or something like that. So thank you guys so much. It's always fun to talk with you guys and you bring a big smile to my face. It's good to be able to see you guys again. We want to wish you all the best as we move into the summer and please come on and talk about your experience after you guys get off the Wish and we'll see whether we were right or wrong about different things.
Yes.
Can't wait.
So I guess as we get out of here, any final thoughts, Chris?
No, I just love our talks and it's going to be great. And when we all go to see Britney Spears together in the fall and we rock out to that Act One finale of Toxic, we're just going to live our best life together. And then Steve, we'll owe you one. You can take us to see a sports ball game somewhere. If you want to go to the Oregon Rally. Yeah. Whatever's happening. We'll go with you. You go with us.
Perfect. I look forward to it. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. All the best to you. And we'll talk to you soon after you guys get off the Wish. Have a great night.
Bye, everyone.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I really want to thank Andee and Joe for helping Chris and I talk about the Disney Wish. It's sure first sailing is right around the corner, and we're all excited about it. No right or wrong answers with what we're excited about, and maybe some things that we're like, wait and see. What's this going to really be like? But we've got a lot of podcasts coming up between now and that first sailing where we're going to get you excited about getting on board the Wish as she begins her first sailings in July. Well, if you enjoyed this show and all our shows, we sure would appreciate it if you go over to iTunes and leave us a review. That helps us get a little bit better known in the Disney podcasting, the Disney cruising, and just the cruising podcasting community in general. Thank you so much for each and every one of you who have done that before, and thank you for all of you who take the time to go and do it now. And as always, we'd like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. They help bring this show to you each and every week ad-free. You can find out more about our Patreon program by going to patreon.com/DCL podcast to find out all the information there. Well, between now and our next show, if you're heading out on a Disney cruise, an Adventures by Disney adventure, heading down to the parks, or just thinking about getting ready for that next, the summertime virtual Run Disney series, on behalf of myself, Steve, Christy, and Chris, all of us here at the DCL podcast, we want to wish you to be well, enjoy time with family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.